Friday, August 27. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. A flash flood warning remains in effect for all parishes across Jamaica until 5 p.m. on Friday. The Meteorological Service of Jamaica says residents should expect widespread showers to continue to affect the island throughout Friday as Tropical Storm Ida is moving in close proximity to the island. The Met Service says Tropical Storm Ida is traveling northwest at about 15 miles per hour. At news time, it was centered about 50 miles north-northwest of Grand Cayman. The storm was forecast to drop anywhere from 6 to 12 inches of rain across the island until weather conditions return to near normal by Saturday. As at Thursday, August 26, Jamaica has administered more than 500,000 doses of COVID-19 vaccines. This as the island continues efforts to vaccinate 65% of the population against the virus by March 2022. Of the 500,605 doses administered so far, some 359,675 were first doses and 139,242 were second doses. The remainder were single doses. Since COVID-19 vaccinations began in March this year, the island has received more than 1 million doses of vaccines, including from the African Medical Supply Platform, the COVAX facility, Canada, India, Mexico, the United Kingdom, and the United States. The vaccines are AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, and Pfizer. The Health and Wellness Ministry continues to encourage members of the public to get vaccinated. To do so, Jamaicans are encouraged to make their vaccination appointments online at www.moh.gov.jm or by calling the Vaccination Call Center at 888-1-LOVE. That's 888-663-5683. Once members of the public have their appointments confirmed, they should visit their vaccination site with their government-issued identification or a letter from the Justice of the Peace. Those due a second dose will also need to take their vaccination card. The ministry is also urging the public to remain vigilant in their adherence to infection prevention and control measures, notably mask wearing, maintaining a physical distance from others, and frequently washing or sanitizing hands. On Thursday, Jamaica received 200,000 AstraZeneca vaccines courtesy of a donation by the Government of Canada. The donation arrived at the Norman Manley International Airport in Kingston. Participating in the arrival ceremony were Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, State Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade Senator Leslie Campbell, and Canadian High Commissioner to Jamaica Emina Tulakovic.
Today's 200,000 doses of AstraZeneca makes over 800,000 doses of vaccines that we have had over the past month. 500,000 AstraZeneca, 200,000 Pfizer, and over 115,000 Johnson & Johnson. Before the month is out, we're likely to have another 100 or 200,000 doses. But what it basically signifies is, firstly, that Jamaica has friends. Jamaica has well-wishers. Jamaica has partners in the international community. Some of these vaccines we have purchased, the Johnson & Johnson, others we have gotten based on our relationship and based on the recognition that we have to confront this pandemic together.
This donation from our key bilateral partner will allow the government to continue to expand the implementation of its vaccine distribution plan, which seeks to have a majority of the Jamaican population vaccinated by 2022.
I'm here at the airport today, having happily received 200,000 doses of vaccines for the government of Jamaica and the people of Jamaica. I quite strongly believe in vaccines. I'm fully vaccinated myself. I've had 2 doses of AstraZeneca. My entire family is vaccinated, everybody above the age of 12. I believe that we need vaccines to allow us to get back to normal and get back to living life as we should be. I'm fairly new on the island, and I have to say I really want everybody to get vaccinated so I can start going out to, I hear you have some great music here. I have not seen it played live. I want to go to a crowded beach and have jerk chicken, and I want to do that when everybody's fully vaccinated.
In light of the COVID-19 pandemic, the Pan American Health Organization, PAHO, is advising countries to reopen schools on a phased basis. PAHO's director, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says each country should move based on their local epidemiological situation.
Reopening schools is and should be a priority for governments, parents, and of course, children themselves. However, our region continues to be the epicenter of a severe global pandemic. More than 2 million people have died in the Americas, and over 82 million cases have been reported since the pandemic began. So we do have community transmission of COVID-19 in almost every country. And what we do not want is for schools to be transformed into a catalyst for more community transmission.
Dr. Etienne says continued surveillance will be key.
Schools closure and reopening should be considered as part of the set of social distancing measures that national and local authorities are constantly adjusting, depending on the epidemiological situation and the local response capacity.
She adds that safe and accessible transportation to and from institutions for children and adolescents is also an important consideration.
PAHO has developed guidance for school reopening, and we are working with our member states so that this can be achieved as safely as possible. But ultimately, the safest way to reopen schools rests on countries' abilities to suppress transmission through vaccination and the implementation of these public health measures.
The Ministry of Labour and Social Security is advising the public that its St. James Parish office will be closed at 2 p.m. on Thursday, August 26, and on 12 noon on Friday, August 27, 2021. The closure is to facilitate the relocation of the office effective September 1, 2021 to its original address at 4 Sam Sharp Square, Montego Bay, St. James. The telephone and email contact details will remain the same. As Jamaica moves to being a more credit-centric economy, one of the unwanted side effects of this can be rising debt. So how can you pay off debt without worry and stress? We'll find out in this extended business report, plus our standard market updates. In Thursday's trading session, the JSE combined index declined by 625 points to close at over 415,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 93 stocks, of which 42 advanced, 33 declined, and 18 traded firm. The junior market index advanced by 36 points to close at over 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for Bryant Investments Limited, CAC 2000 Limited, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers Limited. Stocks declined for 1834 Investments Limited, Burger Paints Jamaica Limited, and Blue Power Group Limited. Trading firm were 138 Student Living Jamaica Limited, AMG Packaging and Paper Company Limited, and CAC 2000 9.5% preference shares. Honeybun Limited was the volume leader with over 11.8 million units, followed by Future Energy Source Company Limited ordinary shares with over 7.3 million units, and Wigton Wind Farm Limited ordinary shares with over 5.1 million units. In foreign exchange trading for Thursday, August 26, the US dollar sold for an average $155.52. The Canadian dollar ended trading at $121.04. The pound sterling traded for $209.01, and the euro sold for an average $181.51. In market data for oil, prices rose on Friday on track to post big gains for the week on worries about near-term supply disruptions as energy companies began shutting production in the Gulf of Mexico ahead of a potential hurricane forecast to hit on the weekend. Brent crude futures rose 16 cents to $71.23 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude similarly climbed 16 cents to $67.58 a barrel. WTI is headed for a weekly gain of more than 8%, which could be its strongest rise since early February. Brent is on track for a rise of more than 9% this week, its biggest weekly jump since June 2020, mostly on relief that China has contained an outbreak of the Delta variant. Debt is often considered a bad word. Today, financial coach Denise Williams of Financially Focused shares 5 secrets to transform your relationship to debt and maximize your financial worth and success.
Well, here's the thing. I'm here to serve, and I want to, invite you to spend a few moments with me so I can show you how we're going to do it. Part of the conversation about debt is related to freedom from scarcity. And, scarcity is so much. Scarcity tells us we don't have enough, or we don't have enough time, we don't have the skills to get the job we need. Oh my God, scarcity is just inundated in out through debt. Now, here's the thing though. Debt has a purpose. Yes, it's a taboo subject, strife, struggle, secrecy, scandal, all that's wrapped up in debt. Yeah? We want happier, healthier lives, and we need credit and debt in a modern society. And for many of us, our relationship with debt is one of the most shameful, stressful, worrisome aspects of our lives. I know that was the case for me. So in this conversation, I just want to look at the 5 secrets, and we want to talk about some of the strategies, that will help you to pay off your debt with, stress, without stress, worry, anxiety. You are not going to be at the whim of the banks, the poor economy, poor money decisions, all of these. So secret 1, how to use powerful language that will reduce your debt by 50%. So here we're talking about how do you speak to yourself about your debt? How do you language the conversation with family? How do you language the conversation with your bankers? That is one of the key secrets to managing this debt process. We want to show you how to ethically write the same type of persuasive letters that private bankers use for their clients to get payment extensions along with fees and interest waived. You will appreciate, as I said, when I was facing a 62-page credit report, I thought I'd get help. I thought someone would just come and say, oh, I'll take care of it. Nothing of the sort. I had to learn to do it myself. And this is one of the key secrets we'll share with you. You want to clone the proven conversations that wealthy people use to convince their bankers to negotiate a favorable debt settlement. Is it unfair to say that wealthy people get a better relationship and a better outcome with their bankers? Perhaps it is, but again, we can show you how to clone this conversation. We can show you what to do so that you walk, you talk, you email, you write in confidence. Secret number 4 is you want to clear your name from hidden charges and mistakes to your credit history. That is so critical. Again, as I said, my 62 pages was riddled with mistakes. And so I want you to be free of such an experience. And the final secret is we want to talk about the exact same script that private bankers use to repair their clients' credit history and increase access to low interest rates. Are you seeing that there is a trend where people who have certain access get certain benefits? I hope you are, because that's what I want to share with you. And so it's just really important. I want you to take away from this conversation that you have the power. You have the power to get the support that will change your experience.
For more information on the development of your financial future, head on over to financiallyfocusedmedia.com or find Denise on YouTube at Financially Focused. And that does it for the Friday edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson. Over now to regional news in Antigua and Barbuda. The state funeral commemorating the life of service lived by national hero and former Prime Minister Sir Lester Bryant Bird was held on Thursday. The pomp and ceremony befitting the giant of a man was firmly in place. Ursel Charles Jr. of ABS Antigua reports.
Majesty, clinical precision, fanfare and solemnity all marked the occasion of the state funeral for Sir Lester Bryant Bird Thursday. The day was declared a public holiday, urging all to take the time to reflect on Sir Lester's life and contribution. The three-part occasion began with a private viewing of the cortege bearing the remains of the national hero as he lay in state inside Parliament building. Dignitaries, family members and close friends all took the opportunity to pay their final respects. The procession then made its way to the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium. Here are a few excerpts from the tributes at the auspicious ceremony.
So sisters and brothers, we bid Sir Lester farewell with our hearts full. His story must not be interred with his bones. It must be told to our children and their children as an example of the contentedness that a life of patriotic service brings. Sir Lester wrote his own epitaph when he said, "I do hope that when history visits my life, people will say that I fought a good fight for as long as I could."
Sir Lester found prominence within the Antigua Labour Party as he filled his Senate years with robust debate and articulate presentations. And he was no less impressive in the House of Representatives when he took over the political reins from his father, Sir Vere Cornwall Bird. His aim was to carry on that legacy and maintain that dynasty.
Today, the Antigua Trades and Labor Union says farewell to a greater fighter and champion. He enlarged the number of public workers and made Herculean efforts to meet their expectations during negotiations. His word was his bond, and his people loved him for his unflinching courage.
Sir Lester's eldest daughter, Donielle Bird Brown, eulogized her late father.
Albert Einstein said, "The value of a man should be seen in what he gives and not in what he is able to receive." In one word, my father was a man who gave. He was ingenious and gave much to his work, to his country, to his friends, and to his family.
The ceremony was also marked by harmonious singing.
And cried, I've had my fill, my share of losing, and now as tears subside, I find it all so amusing to think I did all that, and may I say,
the cortege then made its way to the St. John's Public Cemetery. There, family members, dignitaries, and the general public were able to lay wreaths at the tomb. The funeral ceremony came to an end after the Antigua and Barbuda Labour Party and the Antigua Trades and Labour Union supporters sang the traditional songs of Solidarity Forever and the Red Flag. For ABS News, I'm Ursel Charles Jr.
In Trinidad and Tobago, the Johnson & Johnson COVID-19 vaccines were administered in Point Fortin on Wednesday. The area's residents turned up at the Southwest Indoor Regional Sporting Facility to access the one-dose injection. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell of TTT Live tells us more.
On foot, by car and via maxi-taxi shuttle to get their one quick jab of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Scores of Point Fortin residents flocked to the Southwest Indoor Regional Sporting Facility on Wednesday.
I could get the other one in the Erin Health Center, but I choose to come for the Johnson & Johnson because it's a single shot and this is the closest venue to get it here.
Another area resident said she was of two minds about taking any COVID-19 vaccine.
Well, at first, as anyone else, you hear things, myths and different stories and so forth. But what I started to do was to do my own research, listen to the positive information given in connection with the vaccines and so forth, and of course, pray.
Ms. Dan Clade's two daughters were also able to get their first Pfizer vaccine injections at the same site. Member of Parliament for the area, Kennedy Richards, stopped by to check on the progress at the mass vaccination site.
And the Southwest Regional Health Authority thought it best to also go to them. So I believe from tomorrow, please God, they will be offering the Johnson & Johnson shot in CJS Health Center. So you don't have to go far.
Mr. Richards said, with the steady flow of residents, the venue hoped to inject more than 300 persons on Wednesday. Terry-Ann Brown-Campbell, TTT News.
And it was a similar scene along Trinidad's north coast as residents of Maracas Bay and environs accessed the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. The one-dose inoculation began being administered at the Las Cuevas Health Center on Wednesday. One householder said he came from Diego Martin to get his particular vaccine.
Well, it's one dose, and I have a flight in like 2 weeks, somewhere around there, so I need to get out as fast as possible.
Another resident had a complaint, but it was not about the vaccine.
The person that they have with the mic is not stopping in the village and announcing the thing properly. Well, I'm from Rico, as I tell you, I barely hear the mic when they pass in. And if I didn't watch any news last night.
The addition of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, this brings to 4 the number of COVID-19 vaccines available in the country. On Friday, the area's residents will have another opportunity to receive their shots at the Las Cuevas Health Center.
In St. Lucia, Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre led his cabinet of ministers on a comprehensive tour of the controversial St. Jude Hospital construction site on Wednesday. The SLP government says an expert panel will evaluate the project with a view to finish the long-delayed facility.
Prime Minister Philip J. Pierre and the cabinet of ministers, accompanied by a team of experts, visited the St. Jude Hospital construction site on Wednesday. The St. Jude Hospital has been housed at the George Odlum Stadium since the original building was destroyed by fire on September 9, 2009. But the crumbling sports arena is in bad shape and working conditions increasingly appalling. Pierre, who expressed gratitude to the medical officials, has vowed to complete the long overdue reconstruction project and get patients and staff out of the dilapidated structure.
I'd like to thank the staff, the officials of the ministry, everyone who is involved in that project for showing us, for guiding us, for informing us as to what is happening here. I want to thank Dr. François and Dr. Joseph for taking their time off to be with us. I think it was very instructive. We saw many things. It's left to us now to take a decision as to the way forward. But what's important is that the health care of the people of St. Lucia will remain our priority. Priority number 1, priority number 2, priority number 3. And this government is determined to remove people from the conditions that they are in the stadium. I want to take this opportunity to thank the doctors, the nurses, and the staff in the stadium again for the work and to have the fortitude to work in these conditions.
Despite over $100 million spent, the original hospital project, near completion, was halted by the previous Alain Chastanet administration in August 2016. Audits ensued, and following questions about the building standards, construction on a completely new building would begin in 2019 after 2 structures at the original site were demolished. Minister for Health, Moses Jean-Baptiste, was surprised by what he saw during the cabinet tour on Wednesday.
We toured the new buildings and we saw for ourselves far from completion, very far from completion. We actually expected to see a lot more in there, and we asked several questions about the possible completion time, possible completion date, but it looks very challenging at this stage. Our objective has always been to remove the people from the stadium and the staff and visitors and so on as quickly as possible. And we toured the new buildings, but we also went to the traditional buildings, the buildings that were there long ago. And we went to the East Wing, which has been spoken of so many times. And we viewed what is in there. And we have so many questions still. But the priority for us, as I said before, is to remove the people from the stadium as fast as possible.
A technical team has been commissioned to assess the situation in order to expedite efforts to operationalize the long overdue healthcare facility.
Cabinet has put together a technical team, and this technical team will be given the terms of reference, and they will be given a time period, not too long, to determine, to help us determine the way forward. And this way forward will be either we continue with the new buildings. Number 2, do we move the patients to the East Wing? Or number 3, do we immediately work on the conditions at the stadium to relieve the doctors and the nurses and so on immediately while we work on either of the 2 options. So we have some work to do, but we are I'm pretty disappointed in what I saw today. And the experts will guide us, but I can assure the people of St. Lucia, the people of the South who have been suffering, the people of St. Lucia, we can assure you that the Cabinet of Ministers has taken this issue very seriously.
The Prime Minister on his social media platform promises that a comprehensive update will be shared with the public, stating, quote, "St. Lucians deserve better. St. Lucians deserve quality healthcare. It has been too long." Unquote. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
In sports, we put the spotlight on golf. Host country Puerto Rico dominated all 3 competition categories in the 64th Caribbean Amateur Golf Championship, which was being played at the Country Club at Grand Reserve, Rio Grande between August 24 to 26. They won the Country Trophy, the Arthur Zadie Trophy, the Male Team Trophy, the Herman Cup, and the Female Team Trophy, the George Teal Trophy. The Jamaican male team bagged 2nd position after coming 3rd the last time the competition was played in 2019. They posted a total team score of 50 over par, 914. The top 4 players who contributed to the team score were Justin Burrows, William Nibbs, Owen Samuda, and Shamar Wilson. Rocco Lopez and Dr. Mark Newham, who made up the 6-member Jamaican team, Jamaica's female team of newcomer 14-year-old Matea Issa and Madeline Ukick, ended in 4th place after posting 68 over par, 500. Overall, 3rd went to the Dominican Republic, while Trinidad and Tobago was 4th, and the Bahamas round up the top 5. The other team in the competition was the U.S. Virgin Islands. Jamaica's team manager Robert Chin was pleased with the team's performance.
The 64th Caribbean Amateur Golf Championship is now history. As manager of the team, I'm pleased to say that Jamaica played gallantly today to take 2nd place in the Herman Cup. Kudos to all the players. They knew what was at stake. We discussed it last night. We knew what we had to do. We had to play patient and consistent golf, and we managed to maintain the 2nd position into day 3. Again, this is an outstanding team performance given the limited preparation time that we had leading up to the championship. This just reinforces the golfing talent that we have in Jamaica, and the future, with some more resources and some more commitment to golf, I think we have a far way to go in becoming one of the better countries, golfing countries in the Caribbean.
And that's our package. You've just watched the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.